Oh, oh my God, we're live. I didn't realize it happened so quickly. Quick comments about today's reading. The reading, sorry, what has been written today is intended primarily for people who are either parts of Centers for Spiritual Living or Unity or some New Thought group that's very, very similar, like the one in Japan whose name I always forget. So I'm going to move it around a little bit and change it a little bit also. Let's see how that goes. The title for the whole thing, let me just put it down. The title for the whole thing is called Heal and Reveal. First quote is from Jas Phelan, and I didn't know who that was. I had to look them up. Jas Phelan is a multimedia artist, photographer, and writer who blends creativity with an array of interests, and she's known for her fantasy, paranormal, and speculative fiction, as well as for historical archiving, and so on and so forth. So I had to look her up. I didn't know. So heal and reveal. What blooms from beautiful seeds of thought becomes a symphony of colorful abundance. What blooms from beautiful seeds of thought becomes a symphony of colorful abundance. And the second quote is from Ernest Holmes in Love and Law. He used love and law as meaning the universal subjective and the universal conscious mind. So it's the conscious and the subconscious, if you like, the conscious and the subjective. It was on page 8, paragraph 3. He said, we're individuals. To be an individual must always be to have the right of self-choice. God could not make a mechanical individual. And since God could not make us in such a way so that we had only one way to go, God had to make us and let us go the way we saw fit. In other words, we have freedom of choice. That's what that whole thing means. And this is from our writer who says, do we want to create a world that works for all? Do we want each statement of Centers for Spiritual Living's global vision to be a reality? You can generalize this saying, do you want a world that works for all? If so, we must individually and collectively create a consciousness that can hold both /and. Where on the one hand, we recognize a problem or a limitation for what it is, while on the other hand, we know the limitless possibilities and potentialities of the universe of God, which are present in all we do. So can we hold these two things in balance? And he tries to explain it this way. A surgeon sees what a patient experiences while also working toward a solution. As metaphysicians have the same call, people who practice metaphysics. Okay? Ernest Holmes said, I believe everything is as real as it's supposed to be. If a person hurts, they hurt. If they feel bad, they cry. There is want, lack, and apparent limitation in human experience, and there is no use denying it. But perhaps it doesn't need to be. Perhaps it's not intended to be. By this, he means the same as what a surgeon means, that we must address people's needs while maintaining what he calls a PPI, possibility, probability, inevitability mental equivalent. Countless people are in desperate need of the bare necessities to exist and to live. To them, thriving is a mere dream. We should heed S. Kelly Harrell. And once again, I had to look up S. Kelly Harrell, and it turns out that S. Kelly Harrell is an animist, an author, a death walker, and death doula in North Carolina. She teaches others how to elder well, die well, and ancestor well. And if you're not familiar with the idea, then you're just not. She says, we don't heal in isolation, but in community. And Elphaba in Wicked, when she sings, think of what we could do together, unlimited together, we're unlimited. We cannot effectively heal the world by focusing solely on its problems, or worse yet, ignoring them. We must be brave and face it all in order to heal. Okay, so what does all that mean? What Raymond is referring to here essentially is the way we pray. And in unity and science of mind, divine science, any new thought prayer is an affirmative prayer. In other words, we pray affirmative. We don't plead, we don't beg, we claim. We claim just in the way that Jesus did. When he would pray, he would simply say, "It's done." Lazarus, come out, for instance, one I usually quote. So what he's saying here is that New Thought has been accused in the past of just washing away all the bad stuff in the world. In other words, saying, and some people have done this, saying, well, poverty doesn't exist, you only think it does. Or sickness doesn't exist, you really just think it does, but it's an illusion. And that's not the way that and it's not the way that most people that I know who practice New Thought actually pray and practice. What Ernest Holmes taught was nothing like that. The phrase that I remember him saying was that you look something that you don't like straight in the face. Metaphorical face. So in other words, you do not deny that there is poverty. But what you say is it doesn't have to be that way. And that's what he's talking about here. And that's what, when he's quoting from Wicked and so on, he's saying that when we act in community, we have a much greater chance of changing things. So we look something that we don't like straight in the face, whether it's a low bank account, whether it's sickness, whether it's poverty, whatever it is, we acknowledge it. And then Ernest Holmes told us in prayer to turn away from that and to concentrate solely on what it is that you want, because that is what you're putting into both the group human subconscious and also the divine mind, the universal subjective prayer. So that's what he's saying here, that we have to be able to hold those two things in tension. We have to acknowledge something that we don't like, that it exists. But then when we pray, we turn away from it and we focus solely on what it is that we want. And this can be something small or huge. And what is also being implied here is that when we do this in community, when enough of us around the world do this in community, then we will actually reach critical mass. And when we reach critical mass, we will change the human subjective mind. And when we change the human subjective mind completely, then wonderful things will happen. Poverty will disappear. Sickness will disappear, but it will be when everything is in this divine order. So, okay? So we don't deny the facts. I think he said something like, look a discordant fact in the face. That's what he called it when he's talking about poverty and so on. We look at discordant facts in the face and we turn it and we turn from it and claim what it is that we want. That's what this whole thing is saying. And the affirmation, which is kind of long, is saying the same thing. I'm a healer and revealer of the colorful abundance of the universe as it expresses itself as health and wellness in every area of my life. So we're a healer in the sense that we claim the healing. We don't do the healing. It's a power greater than we are that does the healing. Remember, Ernest Holmes said, there is a power greater than you are, right where you are right now, and you can use it. So we don't get big-headed and say it's our power, that I am the healer, I am doing this. No, I am simply a channel, a medium through which that takes place, and I allow that to work, to move through me. And that's why people like Troward would say that we are divine distributors. Holmes called us divine creators, or co-creators, divine co-creators. I like Choi's better, where he said that we are divine distributors. We distribute the good. I claim the good. I claim the good for myself. I claim the good for all my family and friends. I claim the good for every person and every being on this planet. And I claim it's done and good and true. And so it is. I'm so grateful. That's me for today. Tomorrow, Reverend Lisa, 9:15. I will not be on at 5 o'clock tomorrow, probably. It'll probably be either early or late because I have a 5 o'clock meeting. So, but I will see you next time I see you. Once again, please if you like these readings, if you like the messages, please both give us a like and pass them on. Just copy them and send them on. Just share them. Just do it. So until next time, namaste.